Hey everybody, thought I would do a walkthrough of my Gunsmoke speedrun. A fun game from the NES era. I shoot 'em up. So starting off here, we have level 1. Pretty straightforward level. Um, if you haven't played this game before, boots are an item you can pick up, usually found in the barrels, that allow you to move faster. And the gun that you can pick up is an item that allows your bullets to shoot farther. And then obviously the money is used to buy things later on. The bullets or the gun and the boots both cap at 4, and so you can still pick them up, but after picking up 4, it doesn't have any effect. The POW is something that you can hit that will clear the screen of all enemies. And yeah, that's pretty much kind of the basics of the game. Again, level 1, pretty straightforward. You see the lady there you can talk to. If you go to her, you can buy guns. But unfortunately, at this point in the game, you likely do not have enough money to buy a gun. And for the speed run, it is advantageous to not buy anything from them starting off. You see the horse there as well. That's an item you can get, and you can ride the horse. It allows you to take, I believe, 3 additional hits. But again, it's an item that you tend to avoid in most speedruns, especially in the early levels, as it has an animation that takes up time. And then you see the guy there. He can also sell you the horse, ammo if you have a gun, and then the wanted poster as well. Probably don't have enough money for the wanted poster, but if you blow up that barrel there, behind it is a wanted poster, so you can get one for free. In every level, there is a free wanted poster to be found. And then at this point, you're going to also see a blue Yasashi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I'll say Yasashi shield that allows you invulnerability for a period of time. And then in that barrel is a red one that grants you an extra life. So the basics of the game are all right there. Here, I wait for the final 3 enemies to spawn, hit the POW, and that clears the screen so that the boss can appear. The boss only appears if you have the wanted poster in each level. This boss, pretty straightforward. Just takes 1 hit to get him down to the ground. While he's down, you cannot hit him. So you really just need to stay close to him so he continues to fire when he's on the ground, can stand up. And that should let you get through the boss pretty quickly. Pretty straightforward. So the first level is not too much of a challenge. Good place for you to get your boots, your ammo, and then in particular, the way that I play, you want to make sure that you get plenty of money because this is the level where you will buy things. In this level, I will buy a smart bomb, a magnum gun, and then the shotgun. So those are the 3 that I use. The shotgun has a greater spread, and it allows you to clear through enemies in later levels where there are just a lot of things happening at once, and it can be very difficult to clear the screen with just your base gun. The magnum is good for the boss or the bosses, and then the smart bomb allows you to equip it, and then if you get hit while you have the smart bomb equipped, it acts basically as a POW, clears a screen of enemies. The downside to the smart bomb is that it only lets you use your base gun. So through this level, though, we're trying to get ammo for our magnum. That is really the only thing that we're going to be using. And a lot of our guys in red there that kind of spray the bullets drop ammo. The guys that'll jump into the screen in blue and just kind of jump across, they tend to drop a good deal of ammo as well. Last but not least, the ammo does cap for each gun. Each gun has a different amount of ammo that you can carry. The Magnum is 100, and the shotgun, I believe, is 120. So again, this level we're just trying to get through. There's not a whole lot that you need to really worry about in this level, as long as you continue to clear the screen. there's really not a whole lot that's going to back up on you. Um, the hardest part about this level is the boss that's coming up. You will see that the boss is very erratic in what he throws or when he throws his boomerang. And I found that to be one of the more challenging aspects of the run. In combination with the enemies that spawn, they can spawn from any area on the screen other than behind you. But the enemies that can spawn on the side tend to be a challenge. I'll switch to my Magnum here pretty quick so I can work through the final few enemies that get on the screen. That allows the boss to show up on the screen quicker. Usually you start off with a couple random enemies. He can only take damage after he throws his boomerangs. So it's usually beneficial to focus on clearing the screen of the random enemies in the meantime. And there he is, gone and dead. So a good run can get him, can kill him in 2 cycles where he swipes across the screen. I've not been able to do that, but that was not too bad. This is where the game's difficulty really ramps up, in my opinion. In this level, you will start to see guys that take multiple hits to kill, or there are more enemies, I should say, that take multiple hits to kill. The blue enemies run sideways across the screen, so if you do not kill them quickly, they can become quite frustrating to deal with. You'll also see jumping enemies coming up, and their jumps are quite erratic, in that they can jump diagonally up and down the screen, and then they also will shoot fireballs at you that can make things very difficult. I had a lot of trouble with this level. I equipped the smart bomb early on. One of the great challenges I had was maintaining the smart bomb all the way through. You have a POW coming up here. I tried to wait as long as I could to detonate it because you start to get quite a few enemies on screen once it gets to the bottom, and it's just a good way to clear things out. One of the more difficult parts, though, is coming up, where there will be a shield in a barrel, and it is incredibly difficult with the vast number of enemies that come up in that time. You got 2 guys going sideways, multiple jumpers, guys throwing axes coming from all different areas of the screen. Just very, very difficult for me. But once you get the shield, if you can get to that point, then you can really just run through enemies and kill them without the bullets being needed. So I always found it to be a goal of mine to get to that shield without having used my smart bomb, because the rest of the level tends to be about the same. Doesn't typically feel as overwhelming, except for a little bit later on in the level that you'll see. But really, it truly is nonstop here. If you can't kill guys quickly, this level can become frustrating in a hurry. You have to watch out for guys in the teepees here as multiple enemies come out of them, and then guys are still poking their heads out, ready to shoot at you as you walk by. So there's really not a whole lot of time to rest in this level. Again, this is where I feel like there's just a significant difficulty spike. And when you're trying to speedrun this game, I found this level in combination with the second boss to be where things got far more challenging to get good runs going. Here we have guys jumping in from the top, from the sides, and just very quickly. So it's really hard to clear that screen. And this is where we've got a second guy you can buy items from. Again, I don't buy anything else because it's time suck. The more items you buy, the harder it is to get through the game quickly because you can't skip dialogue. I do buy some horses later on, but that's later in the game. That barrel there next to it was the wanted poster. This is probably the other part of the game that can get, or this level that can get very congested very quickly because you can just see the sheer number of guys that are coming in without giving you a breather. Sometimes I would switch to my shotgun in this area, but at the same time, having the smart bomb, it's hard to switch away from it because once you have it, it does kind of give you that protection, even though when you use it, it's gone, but it's a great kind of lifeline to have. The last part of this level isn't too bad. Watch out for that last TP. There was a guy in there that can kind of sneak up on you. But getting to the boss coming up here isn't too much of a challenge. Once you see the big rock coming up right there, I tend to switch to my Magnum again to try to clear bosses or enemies as quickly as I can to get to the boss. This boss is not too bad. The greater challenge I found was the actual enemies. He's rather stationary, at least in the middle of the screen. He can move up and down, but he doesn't move side to side very often. And I found that as long as you can stay close to in front of him, his shot spreads out in a way where you are relatively safe from it. But obviously, the other enemies are quite a different story. Moving on to Ninja. He throws the little stars. This level, much like the last one, it gets very difficult very fast. The first part of the stage isn't too bad. You will want to watch out on the side though, the mountain where you see the holes. You've got guys shooting out at you. I think as long as you are able to keep the ninjas and the guys in red that are shooting the 3 bullets at a time at bay, the rest of it's not too bad. The green guys take 1 shot. So if you stay up top of the screen and eventually wait out your opportunity to be able to move behind them, you can kind of take them all out at once. But you'll also want to watch out for the falling boulders that tend to come at random. Um, that's really the first part, is just kind of repeating the exact same stuff over and over again. Get to the top, cycle back behind, shoot everybody, get to the top, and repeat. Got the shield there. Try to wait as long as I can to pick it up. Once you get the hang of this level, it's not too hard to get the shield at a good time, unless you miss it altogether like I do there because I was too busy taking out enemies. Here you can buy a horse if you need to, but obviously I'm trying to avoid doing that. This is where this level really ramps up and gets kind of absurd with the enemies that show up on screen. You will have green enemies showing up behind you constantly. I found that, again, try to circle back behind them as best you can and as often as you can, but you don't want to stay down at the bottom of the screen for too long because obviously more of them are going to be coming. If you stay up to the top here on the right side where this long ledge comes, the enemies tend to get stuck on the bottom of the screen, so that kind of eliminates some of the challenge there, but more of them continue to show up. There's another shield right here. Again, take out as much as you can, but it's just kind of a constant up and down, up and down, trying to keep the screen as clear as possible, particularly the ninjas and the guys in red, because those guys take multiple hits. The green guys, while they're annoying and while there's so many of them, once you can cycle behind them, you tend to have eliminated the threat because you can work through them pretty quickly. Stay to the top right here. Gets a lot of those guys in the green stuck at the bottom, at least to a point to where it's easier for you to cycle back. Middle barrel has a POW. You're going to want to use it because there are a number of bosses that spawn here, and to the left of those 2 barrels is your wanted poster. I tend to switch to the shotgun for this boss. I feel like this boss is largely RNG. You'll see that he'll show up and disappear, show up, jump around, disappear, all while other guys are still coming. From what I understand about this, the boss only takes 1 hit per health bar with any gun, but hitting him is a challenge because he's just constantly all over the place. But you just keep at it, keep killing the guys, and really just hope for the best. As you can see, I've missed 3 of them there. Would have really sped my time up if I could have just gotten them. Again, not really sure what I'm missing there, but he is probably the greatest part of RNG in this game. So Moving on to Fat Man Joe. He's got a bomb gun. He really shoots bombs at you, but you'll see that once we get to it. Really, from level 3 on, the the enemies in the stage I find to be a greater challenge than the boss themselves. This level again has a large number of enemies that are taking multiple hits. They show up in the water. If you get in the water, you tend to move a little bit slower, but that's also where you have a little more space to move around. The other bad thing about the water, though, is getting into the water, you'll see yourself kind of jerk up and down. And so, if you, I guess I would call it bad luck, but if you have some bad luck getting in or out of it, you'll kind of just bounce around for a while on screen, like I am there. And it can be incredibly scary because you're almost locked in place when that's happening. Um, a lot of the red guys showing up from the top of the screen. There's not really a whole lot of safe space that I was able to find. Kind of in these trees here is a little bit, and you can kind of keep them from getting in there, and it doesn't feel like their bullets necessarily can reach you at that point. But the better you can to just clear the screen of enemies, the better it's going to be in the long run in this level, because uh, like any of the levels toward the end of the game, it's just very relentless. You can buy a horse there. I tend to buy the horse. Obviously, it's a bit of a time suck, but at this stage in the game, there's just so much happening. I found it to be very difficult for me to consistently avoid the bullets. So, if you want to save about 5 seconds, that's where you can save some easy time by avoiding the horse, because I think the horse is about a 5 second time loss. Got a POW there to blow up the enemies in the water, but there will still be plenty of them, so you're far from safe, even though you've used the POW. Coming up, you'll see a number of barrels. The wanted poster is to the far right of the screen, next to the two on the side there. You'll see it show up right there. Into this level is not too bad. I use a shotgun to clear the screen, but really, once you've made it to this point, it's not too bad. Couple more enemies, and then you get the boss to spawn here. Like so many, as much of a challenge as the bosses are, the greater challenge is just dealing with the enemies that show up all over the screen. With this enemy, found that once he jumps a little bit, he's a little more vulnerable. One thing I would not recommend with this boss is just firing like crazy, because you can't just clip his health away, even if you're hitting him dead in the middle. It feels like there's a bit of a refresh or a reset after each hit, and so you don't want to waste through all of your magnum ammo to do that. Moving on, we are at boss 6. The final stage has 2 bosses. You'll face the same boss twice, so there are 2 cycles. So the same thing I said about the last boss with wanting to be very mindful of your ammo, you'll want to definitely do that here as well, because your magnum ammo is your greatest weapon. This level, it's a challenge. You are fighting in very tight quarters throughout. Yes, there are some ledges you can use to your advantage to kind of prevent enemies from moving up to you. You can kind of get them locked down at the bottom of the screen, which is a nice benefit, but it doesn't really stop the horde from coming. A lot of the red guys shooting the spray, dropping the bombs. Honestly, when I started first playing this, the greatest challenge that I faced was getting used to the bullets and the ground, because they blend in incredibly close to one another. Got a POW there. You can wait as long as you want, but honestly, I found it more beneficial just to make sure I could get to the top right, so that enemy at the bottom can get kind of stuck on the wall for a little while. Um, Much of the strategies that we've used in previous levels apply to this one. You just want to kind of cycle back behind enemies as best you can, particularly the green guys that can show up anywhere on screen. You've got a shield there. very beneficial because again, you've got a lot of guys that take multiple hits or dropping bombs, and you just really want to get the screen clear as quick as you can. She can sell you a horse. Um, Again, buy the horse, don't buy the horse, that's up to you. About 5 seconds each time. I tend to buy the horse on the last two levels just because if I had a good run, the last thing I wanted was a death to ruin it. But again, you can see there, top right of the screen, get behind a wall, get those green guys stuck there so that they're not coming after you. Just kind of an easy way to take care of a few of the bosses or the enemies. Um, Again, though, anytime you've got some downtime, you can rest assured that more guys are on the way. I switched to the shotgun here just because of the sheer number of enemies that are here. Um, it helps, but there's still potential to get shot at any time. You've got guys coming behind you, guys in the windows, guys jumping around, guys coming from the top. They're everywhere, and so that's why. Excuse me. That's why I like the shotgun here because it spreads out. It hits as much as humanly possible. Like realistically, I wouldn't be able to aim in a good way here. Coming up is where the wanted poster is, kind of in the middle of those graves. There it is. You'll want it, obviously. And from here on out, you're just trying to survive and get to the final boss. You'll see a number of the red guys showing up. The guys that shoot 3 bullets, they actually take 3 hits. The guys that just drop the grenades, they only take 1. So they're a lot easier to clear out. But obviously, at this point, there's just so many enemies that show up on screen. It really doesn't matter who it is. There's just a lot happening. Again, get behind walls when you can. It tends to kind of lodge in some of those enemies. But at the same time, you have to be mindful of what is coming ahead of you. And you don't want to get too hyper focused on getting behind the wall and forgetting that there are guys that are coming at you. So it's really just picking your moments where you can move behind guys. Like so many of the levels, the safest spot is toward the middle. The further you get into the game, the sides, the top, and the bottom can all be dangerous. So switch to the Magnum. Here's the boss. Again, there are enemies forming all over the place. Like other bosses, you don't want to just kind of rip into him with all of your ammo because there does feel like there's a bit of a cooldown reset after every hit. But after he bounces around, I found him to be a little more vulnerable. And so there he is. And then you get a second cycle, which does the same. Obviously, a lot of enemies all over the place. Take your time. Take your time when you can shoot. Find your openings. My horse died, but he is dead as well. So that's the walkthrough of this game. I love the game. It's a lot of fun. I hope you found this to be beneficial. And if there are strategies you found that I did not mention, let me know. Hope you liked it. Bye, guys.